I started out as a teacher. My main focus was middle school math. I think I I always wanted to be a teacher. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but I definitely wanted to work with kids. So even though I switched majors and all that good stuff, I've always tutored. I've done summer camps, and then my heart just put me back in the classroom. So went to school to do English and math. Middle school is my original degree, and then I went back for my master's. So after working in a middle school setting for about 10 years, I think, maybe a little bit more than that, I was able to transition into more of a leadership role where I was doing curriculum and technology facilitation. So that role put me in a position where I could still work with kids, but my job was to help teachers kind of do all the great things that I was doing. So showing them, modeling how to work with in different settings with students. So yeah, that's my background. I've always been teaching. And so now I am the learning and curriculum manager here at Smart Girls HQ. So it is a little bit different because I am creating STEM curriculum that focuses on different careers, but it's more internal. But I do find that my bright spot of the week is to go out and serve as a facilitator for our in school program, which is called Smart Girl Squad. So once a week, I will go out to different schools in the Charlotte area and bring our kits to the girls so they can have that exposure. But it's not just, oh, just do the kits. So I'm actually giving them more information. So that's been super, super awesome because since I don't have my own classroom anymore, now I'm still able to have those connections with students and get feedback and then use that to create other content for them later.
So as a teacher slash curriculum developer now, how would you describe your teaching style?
I think even now, thinking back to my former students, I've always been just kind of the chill teacher.
Okay.
Um, just kind of laid back, go with the flow. I so being in middle school, you work on a team, so you don't teach all the subjects. So I think because I was typically the youngest teacher, typically I was the only African American teacher, and it was one of those things where it's like, wait, you teach math? Like you're not, doing PE or special education or anything like that. I was like, yes, I'm your math teacher. So I think being able to kind of break that stereotype was super cool. But the kids they knew that I was about business. Like, we're here to work, we're here to learn. But at the same time, I also realized that these kids have lives and they have stuff going on. So they were super comfortable with coming to my room. I shared classrooms. It was like an office space at one of my schools. And so they knew that if they need to decompress, maybe somebody is, getting on their nerves, whether it's another staff to come and talk to me and stuff like it. As long as it's an appropriate time, you're welcome to kind of sit in our room, decompress. I had little puzzles or little journal things that they can kind of like reflect. And then I will come and like, I can still watch my class, but I will come talk to them. Those are big windows. So they just appreciate having that space where they knew that somebody cared. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's part of that building the relationship. Like, yes, I'm your teacher. Yes, we're here to learn, but at the same time, like, if something's going on, somebody needs to listen. So I was glad to be a person that they confided in, um, and they knew we could have fun. We would on Fridays, especially like during testing times. I would bring in video games, so we were dancing. Just I don't know. It's always just on a lecture. That's not fun. So it was just always the space where it's like we're just gonna come, and it was always a vibe.
So kind of going along with that, how did you address the different learning styles of students?
Again, you just have to have a balance. Like there were some days where I knew that look, you're going to have to listen. You're just going to have to sit there. But I try to balance that and let them know, okay, by the time we get like the foundation down, at the end of the week or whatever, the end of the session, whatever we were working on, there was always a goal of like, we got to get through like the quote unquote boring stuff
Yeah.
because you got to know what you're doing before we start doing some kind of interactive project or something like that. So it was always just finding the balance. You got to be flexible. You got to be able to read the room as you're working. And there were times where it's just like, this is not clicking. Like I can tell you just got to be able to like switch and say, okay, guys, forget the so-called lesson plan. We're going to stop for a second. Let's regroup. Let's figure out what's happening. So I think that was the main thing for me is just knowing how to navigate the different roles
Mhm.
depending on what kids needs. Because I'm there to teach kids. I'm not here to just read off a sheet of paper and say, okay, now go do 1 through 10. So it's all about figuring out what's going to help them truly learn whatever it is that I was
Yeah.
talking about.
Would you say there were more students that enjoyed the interactive, or were there more students that enjoyed kind of the low key lectures?
Mm, I think so. Another thing about working in a middle school setting and having these teams, a lot of times your teams that you're on, they build them based on the teacher strengths. And so one particular school that I can think of, there were three eighth grade teams. And so one team were the high flyers, so they were already like taking like algebra one or something like
Oh,
that. And then you kind of had your middle of the road group, and then you had your inclusion group. So those are your kids that need resource, or maybe they're in pull-out groups. So those were the kids that I actually enjoyed because I felt like I could be more creative.
mhm.
Um, Not saying that the other groups weren't as enjoyable, but it's kind of hard to, if you already think you know everything, then I'm just kind of here and you're not really trying to like listen.
Yeah.
So I think being on teams where the kids actually really need you. And again, that relationship building, like showing them that you do care and like
Yeah.
encouraging, like no matter what has happened in the past, no matter what team you were on, because they knew, which
Mhm.
was sad, but no matter what, like you're going to grow. Like that's my main thing.
Mhm.
So with that, there is a little more guidance because I had like documentation, I had IEPs and stuff like that that I had to follow.
Mhm.
So stuff like that kind of guided what I was doing with them, but for the most part, I don't know, like yes, I would lecture, but I felt like I couldn't just lecture with them all the time. And I did a lot of stuff where I was moving around. So there was always a time where we're doing small groups and the people who wanted to kind of be on their own, doing their own thing, like, I got it. I just want to sit here and work. You will have your moments. And then there will be a time where you come talk to me, like sit at this table. We're going to do like a smaller setting type thing. So they always knew that there was going to be a time for them to kind of do what they wanted. So I think that's part of it too, like just trying to figure out what's going to work best and make it work within your classroom.
How do you think this translate into parenting advice?
You just have to be flexible. You got to be super calm. I'm a parent of two kids. They're 7 years apart. They're totally different. So my first child, again, super chill. The second kid is giving me a run for my money, but I'm active. I'm able to go and exercise because all he wants to do is run. So I think with being in a classroom setting and working with thousands of kids at this point, um, is I don't want to play the game of like I already kind of know how you're gonna act or I know like this is what this looks like. Like I try not to lean into that teacher side because obviously I was teaching well before I had kids. But I do think it's helped um, communication, I guess, because again, you never know what they're thinking. You never know what's going on. So just being able to just kind of know, like, I can look at my kids and say, something's going on. Like, let's talk about it. And of course, I'll get the no. I don't want to talk about it. We're going through that phase right now. But knowing kind of when to step back and once you have your moment. Um, but again, it's still like everything is a teaching moment. Like I try not to be a teacher mom, but there's always a lesson. There's always something that we can talk about. There's always something
Mhm.
to reflect on. So I don't do the lecturing thing, but I do kind of like slide it in there. I try to without
Yeah.
her knowing that I'm doing this because I already know, like from previous kids, that this is what's happening or this is what's going on.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they're my kids, so I'm mom first, and I just want to do the best for them. So you just gotta let stuff go. You can't stress out about things, and just enjoy it. Like time is going by so fast, and this is the time where you need to build memories and stuff like that. So find a career that you truly love. You can have fun. There are going to be days that stress you out, but I think if you can find a place where there's flexibility and you can create family time and stuff like that, I think that is truly how to lead a happy and successful life is finding a good balance of
Mhm.
yes, you have work, you got things to do, but at the same time, your family is most important. So just trying to find a balance where you can always be there for family, kids, siblings of your own, your parents.
Mhm.
So yeah, just have fun. Don't stress. Try not to.